Hey fam, welcome to The Catch, a podcast for young adults to help you catch God's truth for your life. In a world that peddles all kinds of confusing messages all the time, we want to help you clear the confusion and catch the truth of God's Word. Let's dive in to today's episode. All right, well.
My bad, I just messed that up.
You got it?
Yeah, no, I just, during your intro, sorry. Go for it.
No, this is not the intro. This is the start.
Oh.
This is the start. Welcome to The Catch. I feel like we should introduce ourselves just to start with.
Yeah, go for it.
So I'm Kinsey. What about me? What do you want to know about me? Post it in the chats. No, I'm just kidding. This isn't live. No, my name is Kinsey. I am young adult pastor here at the Connection Church. Love young adults, love being about it. I also feel like I'm yelling right now, so I should probably calm down, but I'm just excited.
No, go for it.
And who are you?
My name is Rowdy, and I am the youth pastor here at the Connection Church. Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah.
What
Love that generation. I think, and I say this all the time, but I genuinely believe that there's a lot of people that are obviously growing in influence, but I feel like the 6th through 12th grade, Gen Z, whatever, on the cusp end of millennial and then younger are the most influential generation. And so I think they have so much leadership, so much influence. We're going to talk about a lot of these topics here.
Yeah.
But they have they're empowered to do something specifically by God and to be bold and have leadership, and they have a lot of influence. And I'm excited to how God is using the church, the ministry, 1830, YNG, the whole Connection Church, to really steward them in that. So,
You guys haven't hit Gen Alpha yet, have you?
no, I think my kids
Your
are
kids
Gen
are Gen Alpha?
Yeah, they're 2 and 4, so I believe they're Gen Alpha.
Yeah.
Praise
Have
God.
you-
You don't want to be Gen Beta. Be terrible. I feel like that's not a good look.
That's coming up after.
Yeah. I've heard the names change so often.
Yeah, they do.
So
They do. You know, there's this debate. I say debate. I guess it's just in my own head.
Yep.
About what.
it's usually what debates are for me too.
It's just me and myself about what generation I am actually in. Because it is actually debatable, because I've looked it up a couple times.
Oh, I was
'cause
going to look it up right now.
I was born in 97. You can look it up right now.
Yeah.
I was born in 97.
Okay.
So I'm either the last millennial or I am the first.
Yeah, I'm just going to
Zoomer.
click the first link. I don't even know if I searched the right thing. Generation years chart.
Yeah. And, you know.
Don't just Google everything. Have discernment when you're Googling stuff. It's not working. Okay, let's go through here. It's not pulling up.
It's not.
Okay, you said when?
97.
Let's break it down for everybody.
97.
We don't know what the audience
It's actually,
is like.
it's July 97.
I'm also holding this like I'm preaching. Okay, I just feel like I'm not talking
I feel
loud
like-
enough. Too loud?
No, I just feel like that's actually not the right way to do it. I think
This.
that's going to be better.
Okay.
I think so.
Okay. Perfect. This is not the right link.
No.
Oh,
Yeah, go ahead.
okay.
What do you see?
What is our oldest? Okay, the greatest generation is 1901 to 1924. Too old for this? It's The Catch. Anybody could listen.
Anyone can listen.
Whoever, yeah.
I mean, this is
So
for...
that's the silent generation. 1925, 1945. I believe.
Oh, that's my grandparents.
I believe this is the generation that God told, like, children don't speak unless spoken to. Is that
Yeah,
true? But my mom also
probably.
says she got told that.
Yeah,
And she's
well,
not that.
She doesn't
She's
do
also
that.
not silent. I love you, Mom. Okay, let's get a little baby boomers. Here we go. 1946, 1964.
Also, that's my grandma on my dad's side.
Okay?
Just if you were curious.
Yeah, no, I'm glad you stopped me before I said something completely embarrassing. Generation X, 1965, 1980.
Yeah,
Is
that's
that-
my parents.
There it is.
Is that what you...
No, not at all. Love you, PC. Love you, Pastor Pam.
That's my parents. Yeah.
Coolest generation.
Yeah, they were born.
Some might
they
say.
were born 70 and 71.
Wow.
Yeah.
Millennials. Here we go.
Millennials.
Okay. So based off this, 1981 to 1996, this is where my wife and I
Okay.
sit. This is where we camp. 1996, that was the cutoff. You said 97.
I said 97, right?
Which, according to this particular article,
right.
puts you in Gen Z.
Gen Z, which is great.
Which goes to 2012, which is the year I graduated.
So yeah, wow.
That's crazy.
Nice.
Mm-hmm.
Fun
fact.
Fun fact. Just
Shout
a fun
out-
fact.
shout out
I
London High School.
graduated high school in 15.
Where'd you go to high school?
Oh, dude.
All 6 of the places. Tell me.
I went
2,
to
right?
no, I just went to two high schools, 3 middle schools.
Okay.
So that's why, because I know I've said I've been to like a bazillion schools, and 3 colleges.
Wow.
Yeah. So I just be hopping and bopping around, you know. But no, I went to a private school in San Marcos called Hill Country Christian School.
Yeah.
It was real fun because it was a Pentecostal school. And so we would get together on Wednesdays. We would have chapel.
Yeah. I hate to do this, but I mean, I know you're going to edit a lot of this, but my stuff
No,
isn't
I'm not
even.
going to edit any of this.
Look at that.
Oh, no, you're coming through.
Okay.
Yeah, you're coming through.
Okay.
I see you.
Cool. Just making sure.
Yeah.
You're the top, right?
Yeah, I'm the top.
Oh, there it goes.
Yeah. you're
When I
coming
like
through.
yell. See?
No, but you don't have to yell.
Oh, I don't.
Trust
it's just
me. Trust me. I'm probably too loud.
okay.
Yeah, you're good.
Okay. All right.
You're
Go
good.
ahead. Go ahead. Middle schools.
No, but no edits, no cuts. This is raw.
Raw and unreal.
This is
Well,
raw.
while we're still on this, I know you're. I just want to wrap everything up. Generation Alpha, 2013, 2025, and then that's it.
And that's it.
So apparently, beta hadn't even
They haven't been
beta
born.
form hasn't been released yet.
The update.
The update. Middle schools, high schools.
Yeah, and it was I went to a Pentecostal school, and so on Wednesdays we would have chapel.
Right.
And I have this very vivid memory of being them doing worship, and then the janitor actually ran on the stage with this bright orange flag, like huge flag, and just started just spinning, twirling the flag over
Yeah.
us as we sang.
It's good.
Yeah. We also they would have like these chapel services where they would prophesy over us.
Oh, I think I've heard.
And like all
Maybe
of the
some of this.
teachers, what's funny is not all of the teachers were charismatic.
Right.
Because they didn't all go to the church that the school was at. And I had a teacher who was Lutheran, and we would have this, prophecy chapel.
Yeah.
And what you would do is they would start the service, and they would turn on some worship music in the room, and then they'd say, okay, just go to whatever teacher you feel led to go to. And you would go to multiple teachers and stuff, and they would tell you to pull out your phone and record voice memos
Right.
of their prophecies.
You still have them?
Bethany does.
Oh.
I don't have mine anymore. 'Cause
Next episode.
Yeah, I could maybe.
Just making promises out here.
But it's funny because you'd go to the different teachers, and of course the Lutheran teacher, she wouldn't really know, not that she wouldn't know what to do, but she would just say some encouraging words to you.
Sure.
But it wasn't anything like some of these teachers you go into and they're saying, God's giving me like a vision of like a glass eyeball on fire.
Wow.
And that was a real prophecy that one of the girls got. And then they're like, does that mean anything to you? And
What do you say in that moment? Like,
well, I mean, does it mean something to you? I don't know. I'm not. I think prophecy is real.
you didn't get that.
But no.
Okay.
Mine was just. I remember getting a word from my Spanish teacher. She said.
Was it in English?
She said, yeah, it was in
Okay.
English. She said that I was going to spread the gospel in Spanish.
Wow.
Yeah.
How's that going?
Bien.
Wow.
Muy bien. Muy bien.
Whoa.
Yeah,
Let's go. That's awesome. What was her name? You want
Estamos
to shout her out?
aquí in the podcast studio. So
There it is. Can you give her a shout out?
no, I don't remember her name. I only had her. What's funny is we had a few Spanish teachers, and two of them got deported. I think she was one of them. It was kind of sad just in the middle of the semester. It's like, where'd they go?
Yeah, no, that's
Where they at?
like that. The rapture came and
Yeah, and it was Anyway, so that was one of my high schools, and then I went to Lehman for a semester.
yes,
You
shout
went
out
to-
Lobos. Let's
You
go.
went to Lehman?
Yeah,
right? Yeah.
went, graduated all 4 years.
Yeah, poor you. No, I'm just kidding.
It was a fun time. It was a fun time, for sure.
Yes,
For sure. They're doing
yes,
better
yes.
now, though. They're doing better now that I'm gone. I'm joking.
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Any stories from high school?
Oh, gosh. Yes, 100%. Am I allowed to share any of them? Probably not.
Oh my word.
No. Man, athlete. Had a lot
You
of
got to start with that.
coaches. I mean, that was like the highlight of my
Star
high school
athlete. So
career.
cool.
I don't know about the cool part, but I had a lot of coaches as teachers, so that explained a lot of good grades for sure. For sure. I got a lot of you're smart, you just don't apply yourself.
Oh.
Got a lot of that. That's always hurting. I was a huge procrastinator, but I would always, anytime there was a public like speaking, any type of like in front of the class speech type stuff, I didn't do any of the work because I set it up like, hey, y'all do all of it, and because nobody wanted to present. Like they're like, I don't want to. I get nervous talking in front of people, and I was like, I'll do that all day long. And so middle school, high school, brief college stint, same thing. I just would
You just did that?
just go and speak and get an A+ on
Yeah.
all their work basically.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's fun times at Lehman High School.
You know what's funny? I remember doing. So I'm different than you in that I've always been a big nerd, and I'll do the assignment, but then I'll also stand up and present, and that's
You just did it all.
that's the sauce for me. Yeah. And I loved standing up and presenting, but I remember one time I gave a presentation. This was in college. And a lot of the program that I was in was pretty small. So you would kind of go to the same classes with a lot of the same people.
Sure. How big were the classes? Or the lectures
Oh,
and
it
stuff?
just depended. 'Cause
Biggest-
I went to
biggest one
I went to
you walked into.
GCU.
Yeah.
Well, the biggest.
Shout out Grand Canyon.
Yep.
I was actually born in Arizona. Did
Lopes
you know
up.
that?
I heard you say that a couple days ago, and I was like, no way.
Yeah, I was born in Arizona.
There's like, wow.
Kingman, Arizona.
I've never heard of it. I was just in the Phoenix area.
To be honest with you, me neither.
Mesa, you know,
I'm totally a true story. Anyways, GCU.
Scottsdale.
Yeah, all the places. Did you say Phoenix already?
Yeah.
Tucson.
I did go to Tucson a couple
Let's go.
times. Anyway.
Biggest course you walked into at GCU, like lecture classroom.
I mean, maybe there was 100 people.
Oh wow, that's pretty big.
Yeah, but that was like a big one.
That's
and
the
then
biggest one.
yeah, and then you get into because I also went to Texas State for a little bit, and some of those classes were really big.
Eat 'em up. Eat 'em up.
Eat 'em up, cats.
Go Cats, go.
No, yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, that's why I left. So I left because I couldn't get
Couldn't
that
get it
down.
down?
No, really, I couldn't. I can't do the hand motion thing, and it was
Yeah, it's a little confusing. They
Among-
got like a gun
among
thing,
other-
and then they
yeah.
got this thing. And
yeah, among other things. It just
Lobos
couldn't-
is just that easy peasy.
It is. Well, and what's funny is
What's funny?
that's the Lopes. Lopes up.
So, what you're saying
The
is
Lope is dope.
Lobo for life.
Well, I'm saying Lopes for life, sure, but we can.
But what's your hand
know,
saying? Your
Lopes
hand is
up.
saying
Anyway,
Lobos. Up.
so what was I saying? Oh, this class. So I'm in this class. I'd given a presentation like the year before. Same people in the class, though.
Right.
You know, different class, same people. And I give a presentation the next year in the class, and this girl came up to me and she was like, "Hey, I just want to let you know, I remember your presentation from last year. It meant so much to me."
Wow.
And I was like, "Really?
Life-changing.
I don't even remember." I mean, I didn't say that. I was like, "Wow, thank you. Like, that's so encouraging to me because I do love to speak."
Yeah.
You know, so it's just like felt like a little affirmation, but also it was like, this is a class. And
Yeah.
I don't.
Do you remember what it was about at all?
Oh, I have no idea.
No idea.
It's probably on person.
Even back then.
Maybe back then. I honestly don't remember that much, but I remember being like, "What? This was a presentation. Like, we're just in." Anyway, God can use anything.
Sing it.
God can do
There it is.
anything.
There it is.
It's
There it is.
Connection Worship. Can't
Yeah.
wait for that one to come out. Dude. Okay,
I like how
so
you caught on quick too. You knew exactly where I was going with that. That's awesome.
oh yeah,
Even
no,
with the
it's
U's and the do, the switch.
that song's always on my
you knew.
mind, you know.
Well, now that
okay.
we're done.
We talked about, and that's the podcast, and that's it. Did you catch it? No, I'm just kidding. No, okay. So here's the question for you. I want to hear about your favorite hot drink, your favorite cold drink.
Yeah, that's good.
What
me.
is it?
Me.
Yeah,
oh,
yeah, that's what I
was
wanna
thinking
hear.
we were going through.
what here. Favorite
Well,
hot
I
drink,
like.
favorite cold drink.
I'm not a big coffee drinker. My wife has kind of gotten me more into it. But something weird is I don't. Doesn't matter if it's summer, if it's winter. I like hot coffee. Always. Like if I'm going to drink, and now when I say
Really?
coffee, it's like sugar more than anything. Like it's sweet milk is really what it is. My coffee. But when I do get something, it's always doesn't matter summer, winter. I want a hot coffee. I don't like iced coffee. I don't like cold coffee. Super weird. So I guess my favorite drink, and then I love Dr. Pepper soda, obviously, and that has to be cold. Like that has to be.
You ever had hot Dr. Pepper?
You know,
Hot
God is good,
Hot Dr. Pepper with lemon?
and I've had some rough times. Where I just forget to put them in the fridge or something, and so they're just in
But
the
you've
pantry.
never heated up your
No,
Dr.
I've
Pepper?
never heated up my Dr. Pepper though.
This
I've
is-
seen this.
This is something that my dad tells me about that his dad did with him. It's like heated up some Dr. Pepper with some lemon.
Yeah, no,
I
that
think it
sounds
sounds terrible.
terrible.
Yeah. Whoa.
Sounds weird. I don't know if I
Spooky.
could do that. So,
Spooky.
I do like hot drinks occasionally, but I'm gonna have to go like a ice cold Dr. Pepper for sure.
Yeah.
Favorite drink.
So I don't do coffee.
Okay.
Really don't. I can't hang with it. Can't do too much caffeine really. I'll do a hot tea. Like hot tea.
Yeah.
I've been drinking this like hot chocolate kind of drink that I don't really like, but I've been drinking it the past few nights. It's supposed to like help you fall asleep.
Nice.
And it's been really great actually, very relaxing. It's got melatonin and
Wow.
yeah. It's been really good, but it's like
You okay?
no, I'm good. It's nice,
You just drop melatonin in there?
No,
Oh,
that's
already,
how it comes.
It's in there.
That's how it comes. Yeah, I mean it's same concept as like sleepy time tea.
Yeah.
You ever had the little sleepy
Yeah.
time tea?
Well, maybe not me necessarily, but we have the like the body wash or like the bubble bath for the kids that
Sure,
has
yeah.
the that same type of stuff in it.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's melatonin
It's just
inside
nice. It's relaxing.
Yeah. I don't know
good
if it
stuff.
actually works.
I don't like the way it tastes, but it's I've been enjoying just like falling asleep to that.
That's your go-to like hot drink? What's
No,
your go-to
my go-to
drink?
hot
Cold,
drink.
hot?
My go-to hot drink is peppermint tea always.
Peppermint tea.
Love peppermint tea.
Okay.
And my favorite cold drink, I'm a lemonade fiend.
Okay.
People don't know this about me. I'm a lemonade fiend. I also love green tea, but yeah,
Yeah.
I'll be drinking that lemonade for
So,
sure. So
just regular lemonade? Do you like the flavors? Do you like where do you go? What's your go-to spot for
okay, let me
lemonade?
backtrack.
Okay.
No, I want to change my
Oh,
answer.
not
Really,
lemonade.
Uh,
Gotcha.
Okay, because if I'm gonna go somewhere, I'm gonna get a drink. I do have a preference here. Oh, two things. Okay, one, we love Dutch. We're going to Dutch. We're going to get green tea, pomegranate, and honey. They actually like ended up because I go there and I order it a lot.
Yeah, they made a drink called the Kinsey.
No, they did put it on their like orders. Like they have like I guess something on the wall that's like here's some
Like
of our
preset stuff,
regulars
yeah.
or something like that.
That's cool.
And so they ended up putting that up. So,
By the way, shout out Dutch Bros. If by some chance an employee listens to this, someone with some pool, hey, young podcast starting up, sponsor.
you want to sponsor
We love you, Dutchies. We love you. Go ahead.
the mafia, the Dutch mafia? That's what they call it.
Okay.
Did you know that?
A little aggressive, but all
That's
right,
what they call it.
I'm with it.
Anyway, yeah. So that's probably gonna be. But also, there is a hand smashed lemonade trailer.
That
down
sounds
the way.
good. I've seen this. I
It's
think
awesome.
Or
I got some guava lemonade. It was
See,
sick.
That's where I draw the line.
Sick.
Because I
loved
feel
it.
like you and Megan, my wife, for those that don't know that, y'all like the weird drinks. That's the one thing that my
Variety is
wife
the
drives me
spice of life.
crazy. Is like, just get a random, what is it, the teas or like the flavored waters, and like she's like, get me avocado pear with some zing, and I'm like, what are we doing? Just get some regular, like, why we gotta have a blueberry?
I don't think
and-
avocado
and
would taste good.
You
in
never
it.
know. Somebody out there, I'm sure. No, that's
love
disgusting.
my
I was trying to think of
avocado drink.
random like dragon fruit
Yeah.
and peppercorn.
Hey,
It's like,
and you know
just
what
get-
Sonic started doing? They added some new flavors. They had dragon fruit,
Mm-hmm.
blood orange. I think there was like one more that they've actually added to their like syrups, you
Right.
know, like for their slushes and stuff.
Yeah.
I haven't tried it yet, but
So what's a
on my way.
drink, hot or cold? Just it doesn't matter the season.
Cold.
It doesn't matter. Your
Cold.
go-to is cold
Easy.
drink.
Cold.
Iced or just refrigerated? There's a difference.
I actually, okay, this is weird. One thing that I've been going to frequently is just it's just a room temperature water.
Yeah, that's good.
Like, there's something about, and I know this is bad for the environment too, a plastic water bottle of room temperature water
Yeah.
that I've really been enjoying.
Yeah, I think it
Recently,
just.
I keep grabbing them.
I don't like if on a rare occasion when I drink water, I don't like it to be cold. I don't like water cold. I don't like it hot, but I like room temperature water.
That's
It just
funny.
goes down the hatch easier. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because usually I'm not. No one who honestly drinks water for like this stuff's good. You know?
Me.
Okay, well, you don't put anything in it, just regular water.
Yeah.
Oh, if I'm getting a room temperature bottle of water, it's down in 5 seconds. Like I'm
Oh,
not to
no.
enjoy it. It's to because I feel like I need water.
No,
so
I've been sipping on that. I mean, look, I got one today. I've just been enjoying this all day, and I'm
shout out to
serious.
Core. Trying to get all that.
Okay, there's
Apple.
no,
I'm joking.
there's no
to
product
get
placement.
sponsored.
There's no sponsor. Okay,
Hot cold drinks. What is this all about? Why are we
We're talking-
spending 20 minutes on hot cold drinks? You know?
I don't think it's been 20 minutes, but we are going to talk about today being lukewarm, having like
Yes.
lukewarm mid faith, like because a lot of people, a lot of young adults that I see are walking around and they're telling me, you know, I love Jesus, I want to follow him, but then quite honestly, they're living with a mid faith.
Yes.
You know, and I think it's really easy to do. I don't know, Rowdy, have you ever experienced like just doing, why do we do things halfway? Why do we live in the middle? Have you ever done that yourself?
Yeah, 100%. I think you just check a box. I feel like you just kind of get it's something I have to do. Like I just got to get it done, so let me just knock it out. And I think that's kind of what leads people to really anything. You know, I always bring it back to like our relationship with Jesus, and I know that's what we're doing here. But I think when you start to my friends are serving, so I'm just gonna serve, and I guess I'll say it this way: when your why is to just make ends meet, or just to like put up a front, or just to get to a place where you're just they're doing it, so I'm gonna do it. There's not a reason why it's just I got baptized because my family got baptized, which was my story at the beginning. Like I just wanted to make somebody else happy. There's a real reason behind the things that we do. And if you don't know it, whatever it is, right? Why do you change your oil in your car? Like it has to run. If you don't know why,
Yeah.
there's reasons behind this thing.
Someone could explain that to me sometime.
And you find out quick, like if you don't change your oil, like eventually your car's not going to work anymore.
Oh,
And so
I need to do that.
it's not going to run as well as it's designed to run, or, you know, putting a bookshelf together or furniture, miss one valuable step. You ever put something together and you get like the end of, and you got like 4 parts left and you're like, what am I going to do? I have 4 extra parts. Like surely they didn't just send or it's an uneven number where it's like, I got 17 extra pieces and you're like, this thing's sitting up right. Well, at some point it's probably going to not work for you. And I think
Man. Yeah.
just going down a line and you just don't know why you do it.
I've
why
totally
it is
done
here.
that.
So,
That desk that used to be yours,
uh-huh.
I put together.
Yeah. It's still holding up.
It's still holding up, but I did have to go in and just like glue
I saw
things
that.
down
Yeah, I saw that.
because I didn't know what I was doing. Missed the steps.
Why the
Check
why
the
is
boxes.
important. The why is important. Have you ever been at a place like that where you kind of just? I mean, I guess it just goes back to the why. Like, are you at a place where?
I don't know if that showed up in this feed just now, but I will say I should say, so we have a school here on campus, an elementary school, and they're doing PE out here. So if you hear any screams,
A lot of things
everything's fine. They're just playing games or something.
A lot of things happen. They got PE class.
I don't
going
even
on
know
right
if
now.
that came through, but if it did, that's funny. The why of like, have I ever had trouble with the why?
Yeah, so I think we're talking about mid, like
Yeah.
living your life, checking boxes, not really understanding. You're just kind of mid-level faith. You're not really on fire. You're not really, you know what I mean? You're cold, hot, that kind of thing. So I think it goes back to the
I
why. Have you ever been in a place where you didn't know the why? Did I switch the question on you? Sorry.
honestly, no, it's okay. Honestly, I think for me personally, I've always known the why because I've grown up in
Right.
the church. I've grown up in the why. And I know that's not everyone's story, but for me, that's just true.
Sure.
But for me, it's that I've gotten comfortable with the why.
Yeah.
I went through an experience recently where I just got comfortable with the gospel. I got comfortable with salvation and with Jesus' like finished work on the cross.
Right.
I went through an experience where I felt like I was just having a hard time stumbling through things. And I started to get frustrated with myself as I was messing up, dropping balls, like spiritually with myself, but also
Yeah.
just like in my life in general and the things I was doing.
Yeah.
And I started to carry all of the weight of it with me. And I forgot, like,
Yeah.
oh, actually, Jesus paid for all of this.
That's right.
You know?
That's good.
And so I was walking around just,
Right.
crushing weight on my back. And then I had to come back to the realization, oh my gosh, I've known this all my life, but let me experience it in its fullness. Like, Jesus paid it all,
Yeah.
So
you're talking about like, I not that I'm saying that like your life is mundane, but I'm saying you had something and it was been your whole life.
yeah.
Something happens in the middle of that
Mm-hmm.
and what you knew your whole life and you still knew in that moment, it kind
Yeah.
of changed and so it
Changed
forced
the-
you something you knew. You're like, wait, I know this. I have to.
Yeah. And so I would say that even though I didn't realize it, and like I said, I think we just get comfortable
That's good.
sometimes
Yeah.
with our faith. And, we go to church every week. We're hearing
Right.
the word of God. We're like, yes, this is good. We sit in the worship service and we're like, wow, the band is rocking.
Yeah.
The host time is fun.
good.
I love seeing my friends, but we're not actually metabolizing the gospel for ourselves. Like,
Yeah.
we're hearing it, but we're not allowing it to transform us
Sure.
every day,
Right.
Yeah.
Which I feel like can kind of lead to, that you living that mid-level faith, kind of on the fence or 1 foot in, 1 foot out kind of deal, the lukewarm Christianity, but also it kind of feels like it leads to that. It works for them, but it don't work for me. You know what I'm saying? Like we
Yeah.
know it works, but it's like, but the same
But you're like, why is this not
same
working in my
action,
life?
yeah, the same peace, the same love, the same grace, the forgiveness, all of that we mentor and we talk to people about and we disciple and we walk with them through. We get to a tough season and we're like, oh man, like this, wait, it's actually available for,
This is for me too.
I preach at least every week.
Yeah.
And there are times in my life where I'm like, wait a minute, like I'm forgiven too. Like you know what I mean? Like I'm still allowed to like accept that and walk into that and believe that for myself. That's good, which I think, causes some issues for sure, especially when you realize it and you get into a season or you kind of get knocked off. No, that's really good. I love that.
Yeah.
That's the thing also that I love. I feel like you said, I grew up in the church, and the thing I love about this idea of this podcast, many things, but we are under the same leadership now, but I didn't grow up in church.
Right.
I've been going to this church for 9 years, been attending this church, got saved to this church, started serving, baptized, the whole like next steps thing. Got placed as an intern, got put on staff, and now I'm pastoring this church. And you grew up, right? Like no one grows up a Christian. That's not you're not born into Christianity, but you grew up walking with Jesus, building the church as a PK. You want to kind of walk through that a little bit?
And what that was like?
Yeah. Well, I mean, just like
sure.
yeah.
Sure. I mean, so my parents were pastors before I was born, and grew up in the church. My dad was a youth pastor.
Let's go.
Yeah, and he's still a youth pastor at heart,
Yeah, he is.
But youth pastor, and then ended up going to pastor a church, lead pastor of a church out in Luling, Texas.
Yes.
Which we love, Lil Luling.
Don't
And,
love the smell of it. But
no,
we
I
love,
cried when we moved there. My parents tell me, I was only 2, but they tell me that I cried for at least a week about the smell.
We love a good watermelon thump, though.
Love the watermelon thump. Yeah, super fun. Seed spitting contest, always great. Anyway, yeah, so we moved out there, and he became lead pastor. And then when I was 5, so my parents raised me like constantly, always telling me about Jesus, reading the Bible with me. We'd pray together. We'd sing worship songs together. And so that was just ingrained in me at a young age. When I was 5, I said, I want to give my life to Jesus. Now, I always say, and I think, when you're a kid, you can do that. You can be saved at 5 years old.
Yes.
Because it is just a commitment between you and God, and you're saying, I want you to be Lord of my life. But I didn't fully understand what that meant.
Right.
I knew what that meant, but not in its fullness. And I would say even now, like, we're all on the process of sanctification. We're all learning.
Right.
And so even now, do I really understand what that means? No, but I'm trying more and more every day.
Sure.
Right.
Yeah,
so same deal. But I was saved at the age of 5, and then just grew up serving, trying to share Jesus with my friends. I remember being in the kids ministry, and like my mom was in charge of the kids ministry, and she would walk up to me and she'd be like, hey, there's a new kid over there. Like, you need to go share your toy. You need to go be friendly to them and, invite them to hang out with you and all of that. And so grew up learning to serve as well. And so I feel really privileged in that way.
That's good.
I think it also comes, though, with its own challenges. Like, you have to, at some point, decide fully that, like, your faith is not your parents'.
That's good.
But it's yours.
That's good.
I remember going off to college. Well, first I was at Texas State, which was just down the street.
Yeah, eat 'em up.
Eat 'em up cats. Realized that was not the place for me, and that's we should talk about that on a different podcast, because that's actually a really cool story.
Yeah.
But ended up moving out to Phoenix, and I wouldn't say that I walked on the wild side, but for me it was rebellious.
Yeah.
I tried drinking. I listened to music that I wouldn't normally listen to. I used language that I wouldn't normally use. I, hung out in circles that probably shouldn't always be hanging out in.
Yeah.
Things like that. And through that process, I thank God I think he really protected me from myself at that time, because even though I was still serving in the church, I was passionate about the church.
Yeah.
I really had to take a minute to say, okay, what are my values?
Right.
Who is Jesus? What does my faith mean to me, and how am I going to live this out?
To you, like, you had to.
I had
at
to,
that point.
Yeah,
had to
I had
personally
to
do that.
make my faith.
Yeah.
My
And how old were you this time?
This was 18 to 20.
Okay.
I finished school pretty quick.
Yeah.
Finished college pretty quick. But, I had a couple years where I had to just be making these decisions.
That's good.
And then ended up moving back here. And I'm glad that I was able to make my faith my own there. Mm-hmm. Because when I moved back with my parents, under my parents' leadership.
Yeah.
Because I'm back at the Connection Church, where they're the lead pastors. And so really had to sit and think and pray and process,
That's good.
is my faith my own?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's a huge part to getting outside of that lukewarm Christianity, where you kind of, that's a big part of
Absolutely.
that.
And one lesson I've learned is that you can be in the church. In fact, you can be, because I'm a big church girl. Like, I love the church. I love, like, the building the church. I love the ins and outs of, like, church culture.
Yeah.
All of these things. I'm so about it. But you can be about the church.
Right.
And not have a close relationship with Jesus in your life.
Yeah.
And the two have to go hand in hand.
That's good.
Or else they're not worth much.
Right.
With one or the other. You
Right.
know. Yeah.
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 And
so
it goes
it's
back,
huge.
circling back to the why. You know, why? What is the importance of it? Why is it important to build the church? Why is it important for the ins and outs, the people, the culture, getting people to show up
Sure.
at the door? It's a big part, of that, of the body. Church is confused as a building, and while we hold church in a building, the church is the people. So when you walk through when you think about that, like lukewarm Christianity, are there some key scriptures? I think I know where you're going with this, or you're going to go with this, but is there maybe one or two key pieces of scripture?
Here's the thing. Thinking of a couple. There's just so many things I want to say, actually. One, let me say this before I give you a scripture. I think there is true danger in your life in having a mid faith. Because I would tell you, and I know you've experienced this,
Yeah.
when push comes to shove and things are getting tough,
Yeah.
sometimes Jesus is all we have.
Yeah, it's good.
And if you are having a mid-level faith, you're going to have a tough time holding on to him, holding on to your faith in the middle of trials, in the middle of these tough moments
That's
of
good.
life.
Yeah.
So I think figure it out now and figure out your faith quickly, and what you believe.
Yeah.
Because things are going to get hard and you're going to need him desperately.
Absolutely. That's good.
One scripture that comes to mind when I think of mid-level faith, and I say this all the time, actually, when I'm talking about mid-level faith, but it's Revelation 3:15-16, and I wrote it down because I knew we were talking about this today. It says, "I know your deeds, that you are neither cold nor hot. I wish you were either one or the other. So, because you are lukewarm, neither hot nor cold, I'm about to spit you out of my mouth." God
Yeah.
hates. Is it crazy to say God hates things? I don't think so. I think there's things. God hates sin.
Sure.
God hates a lukewarm faith. Because the trouble with a lukewarm faith, okay, if you're super on one side of what you believe, let's say you just have cold faith, you're like, I'm an atheist, I just don't believe anything about this Jesus stuff or God in general. We're just out here on our own. Okay, you've got a set of principles that you're standing on.
Yeah.
Okay. If you've got a hot faith, and you're like, I'm all about Jesus, I'm all about the gospel, I believe he is who he says he is, I'm going to live my life that way, you've got a set of principles that you're standing on.
Sure.
If you are lukewarm, if you're sitting in the middle and you're like, I don't know, this could be true, this could not be true, I kind of believe this, but I'm not living it out. I just want to be straight up with you, because I care about you. You're lying. You're lying to yourself about what you believe. If you're like, I'm a Christian, but I'm not living it out.
That's good.
Wow. You're lying. And I'd hate for you to be lying to yourself or to others. I know that you want to stand on some kind of truth. Or if you're just unsure, well, then you don't have a set of principles. You don't have a foundation to be standing on or to build your life on. And I can just tell you, because I've seen it. I've seen it so many times of people not going anywhere in their lives because there's nothing to build on.
Right.
I
think, one thing that, and this may or may not have come from an Avengers movie, but there's two people or two things that people have to have. And if they don't, I'm like, it's kind of a red flag. Relationally, if you don't have some type of, a story, a past, it doesn't have to be fully checkered. I think people say checkered past, like they're a felon, they're in and out of prison. This is not what I like. You got to have some type of something in your past that you're working through, that you're coming from, and then you have to have social media on some level. I feel like if I'm looking through on social media and we don't see an Instagram, we don't see a Facebook, it's a little red flaggy for me. And if you don't have both, then we're completely out. And
don't think I understand what you're saying.
So you're talking about what did you just say? What did you repeat? What you were just saying?
I don't think I understand what you're saying.
No. Before that.
About having nothing to build on, no foundation.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah. So if you don't have a checkered past, it means you haven't learned from anything.
Okay.
and you're walking away, which means you don't have. So if you don't have that, and you don't label it as a checkered past, like your past doesn't look great, but you're like, no, I'm perfectly squeaky clean. It means you don't have any principles that you're standing on. That was my point. So if you don't have a checkered past, you
I
don't
don't
have
know
social
if I
media, and you
agree,
don't have
really.
principles.
Okay.
If you don't have all three, that's a red flag for sure. We can overlook
What if you
Instagram.
have-
We can overlook.
What if you have principles and you've always just held to them?
That's what I'm
You
saying.
know?
If you don't have principles,
Right. But you're
Then-
saying you have to have a past.
you have to have something. I mean, everybody has
The thing is,
something
everyone
in their
goes
life.
through something. But I'm just
point.
thinking about. I've definitely gone through some things in my life, but there are some people. I'm thinking about the good girl out there, who's like,
Sure.
I've just done it
Sure.
God's way,
Someone always has something. The point is, like, if you don't have one, fine. But if we're like nothing, like you just completely fine, you're a good girl, good guy, whatever, fine, perfect. But that means you have principles.
Yeah.
So that already omits, you know what I'm saying? Like that omits what I was saying, the argument that I'm making. If you
Sure,
got
sure, sure.
all of those things, Instagram, that's just a church thing. We looking for people to serve, and we look, obviously, we look at people on social
You're
media.
just saying-
And if you don't have that, then that means like it's a little weird. But that's overlookable. Like I'm fine with that.
Okay.
But if you're like, I don't have, like, oh, my past is squeaky clean, it means you have principles. But if you don't have principles and you don't have like some type of something, a story, a bit of a testimony, and I'm not saying you got to go, you know what I'm saying? Do you get what I'm saying? Like you were just
Yeah.
saying you went through a season where you struggled and you made some decisions. And it could be like, well, I was just hanging out with some friends I shouldn't have been hanging out. I learned with. There's something there. But if
Yeah.
someone comes to me and they're like, oh, or people that you ask all the time, like, oh, my life's going great. It's like something has, like, there's got to be, we always have something going on in our lives.
I think God uses the devil's out to get us.
Yes.
The devil's out to get everyone. And so, you have a story. I know you
Yeah.
have a story. And two, God uses tough moments in our lives to build us and to sanctify us and to prepare us for what's ahead. And so I think that's true for everyone. So if you're sitting there and you're thinking, well, I don't really have a story, because I'm just, I'm pushing back on this a little bit because I've heard a lot of people say this
Yeah.
before, especially because I hang out in some PK circles.
Sure.
And the PKs either really have a story, or they're like, I don't really know that I have a story. Like, I've just been in the church. Well, you have a story. God's moved you through different trials and different
Absolutely.
moments. So that's all I'm thinking about.
Yeah. So even
about
if
that.
you grew up in the church,
Yeah.
people leave the church. So you got friendships that you've invested in. You've
Yeah.
got relational hurt. You've got some stuff in there, and it's always alarming to me when people are like, nope, nothing to pray for.
Nothing has
I'm good. I
ever-
don't need you to pray for me. And it's like, well, like, how am I going to get to know? So now when you're good, if you're saying, hey, I'm good, well, I don't know what it looks like for Kinsey to not be good. So when you're off or you're out of character, like I have to be able to walk you through something. That's what I mean. I'm not saying you got to be a
Yeah. Well,
hardcore
what's funny
teardrop
is you
your eye.
have and others around here have really seen me go on that journey over the past
yeah.
month or so, where it's been oh, she's just pretty good.
Sure.
But I would tell you what, a lot of that, and then all of a sudden it's like, oh, she's not good and she needs some help. But the reason that I think people have seen that
Yeah.
is because it's not that nothing's ever happened. It's that I have never been vulnerable. I decided I'm going to be vulnerable with
That's good.
people that I care about.
Yeah.
And I think that's part of becoming less lukewarm in your life.
Yeah.
God gives us community
It's good.
to help grow our faith. And he also gives us solitude, as in time with him, to help grow our faith.
Yeah.
And both of those are very important.
It's good.
And those are two things that I would encourage you to like lean into big time if you're looking to move out of lukewarm faith.
That's good.
And that takes vulnerability on both levels: vulnerability with others,
Sure.
vulnerability with God. Sometimes we don't want to do that either.
Yeah.
You
That's
know?
huge.
Very huge. So what if you're just like, okay, I'm comfortable with where I'm at though. Let's say you're living life mid, but you're like, this is fine, I'm good?
Yeah.
What do you have to say to that person?
I would say it's good until it's not.
Yeah.
And I think we say that as a means to justify or to maybe even like suppress our own, like what we got going on. Just to go back, like, people are people, and none of us have it figured out. We're all dealing with something on some level, big or small, depending on what lens you're looking through. But I think when people say they're comfortable, like, I'm fine with it, like I'm okay. Well, you're okay until you're not. There's only so many things you can push under a rug before eventually you trip over it, and you're like, oh man, I got a mess in my life. I got some things. And usually the funny part is, like, we'll overlook the big things, and whatever big is to you. I'm not trying to, like, say this is worse than that, but like,
sure.
whatever the big thing, we'll overlook those things in our lives. And it's like the smallest thing that, like, sets us off. Like, who took my car water bottle, and it's like, and you're ready to throw out friendships because you think they did. And it's like, what happened? But really the four things before that are the things that really broke you.
Yeah.
And you thought you were good. And so I just would say, be honest with yourself. Get some people around you who have the same values, beliefs. We always say get around people that are same minded, in the sense of, like, they believe in Jesus, they want to speak truth into your life, and be honest with them. Find somebody. You don't have to have 25 friends that you're telling everything to. You got to guard your heart, protect your testimony, but share with people, invest in people. I've been on the end where I've said, I'm fine, I'm good, it's okay, everything's working, I don't want to ruffle any feathers or anything like that. And then the slightest thing breaks me, and then on the outside it looks like, well, that's the thing that broke me, but really there was 17 things before that were huge.
Yeah.
And that's the thing that broke me. So just be mindful. It's good until it's not, and you want to catch it before it's not, so you can learn how to deal with that and bounce in and out of those seasons, because they come.
Absolutely. Oh, that's so good. That's so good. Okay, so here's another question that I had about just, like, living amid faith. Can someone who has the Holy Spirit inside of them live out amid faith? Really, the question is, can you live amid faith and be saved?
I would say yes, because I've been there.
Okay.
You can't lose your salvation. And I think with busier seasons, and this is what we do, we justify it. That's exactly what we're doing right now. Yes, it is possible. Is it what God wants? No, but it definitely is. I mean, it's no. Yeah. Yes. I'll answer it like that.
Yeah.
Yes, because I have lived that way
Sure.
before. And I think, things like baseball season come up, right, where they're not going to church and they're not attending and they're not serving. They get a different credit card, and so now their tithing isn't set up. Seasons happen, vacations.
Yeah.
Take a hit in the summer for a youth group specifically, right? Like, where they're just not here. They're going on vacation. They're taking the time. Halloween, they got 5 days off from the public schools here or something like that.
Which
Crazy.
is wild.
So it it's just different things where we use to justify those types of moments where they're all saved. Priorities have just been switched. Now, it is a slippery slope. I'm not saying, like, you're good. Rowdy just gave me permission on the Catch podcast to go ahead and dismiss everything God has told me because I'm still saved, and that's fine. The deal with being saved is now you have the same power that rose Jesus from the dead. And so that thing that's inside of you that we call guilt, the world calls guilt, it's actually called conviction. And so that action, you don't change. It's not like you get saved and all of a sudden you're on fire to go to church the next Sunday, or you're ready to get in your Bible. That may last for a couple days, but at some point you're going to have to get up and make the actual choice to say, I'm going to wake up an hour early and get into the Word because I know my day is so jam-packed. So to answer your question, yes, but it does raise up those kinds of questions of, the vacations and the prioritization of what it looks like to have a relationship with Jesus. So yes,
Yeah.
I'm not justifying it.
Yeah,
Just
yeah,
saying,
yeah.
Life
Yeah.
does get
No,
busy,
I
but
hear
if you
what you're
keep
saying.
God at the forefront,
Yeah.
it's easier said than done. But
Well, and I think what you're saying is like actions are more important than feelings here, right?
100%.
One of my favorite scriptures, Matthew 5:37, let your yes be yes, let
good.
your no be no.
Yeah.
And so really I'm bringing that up because I just think like, okay, I may not feel like reading my Bible every day,
Yeah.
but I know that like when I am on fire for God, like that is something that I will be doing.
That's good.
And so I'm going to let my yes, as in I'm saying yes to Jesus every day, be my yes
Yeah.
by acting that out, by like
good.
reading my Bible even when I don't want to, spending time in prayer even when I don't want to, showing up to church even when I don't want to. Of course, that almost never happens for me. I do love being at church,
Yes.
but for if that's happening to you, like,
Yep.
let your yes be yes. Let your no be no. If you're saying yes to Jesus, let it be yes in all the
That's good.
things. You know?
I love that. What does it look like what does that look like in your life? The yes. But yes, so yeah, we're specifically talking about Jesus, but being in ministry, you get asked a lot. So what does that look like for you inside of the
I get
yes
asked,
and the yes? And
asked
the
a
no
lot
and
to
the
do
no?
what?
Name any amount of things you've done today that aren't technically in your job description. We all get asked to do a bunch of things. So when you say your yes is your yes, we're talking about following through. We're talking about prioritizing Jesus. Like when I'm saying yes to Jesus, like when we say yes to the calling He's placed on our life, what does that look like inside of your life? Maybe a story that you had to say no, or a story that maybe you should have said no, but you said yes. And what did that look like in your life? Did that lead kind of to a place of maybe a mid-level faith? Did it kind of disrupt that in any way, your calling?
Oh man.
That's a deep question, and I just
I will say
asked 3 in 1. Sorry.
this. Okay, so I talked a little bit about being in college
Yes.
and trying to figure out, my values, what I believe, and that kind of thing. And one thing that kept me planted in Christ was that I knew that I wanted to follow Jesus. I was trying to figure out what that looked like for me, and really also, how close to lines could I get was a problem for me. But sorry, I'm just thinking about all the stupid things that I did in college. But I did stay planted in the church because I knew that, like, okay, if I want to follow Jesus, like, this is what people do.
Yeah.
And so in that sense, I let my yes be yes over and over and over again.
Yeah.
And I actually, my friends, I remember us having this conversation with one of our pastors where we were all gathered around, we were like eating or something. And they were like, Kinsey, she's just kind of a freak for the church. Like, she just is talking about the church all the time.
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah, I am, because I just kept thinking like, okay, I want to serve Jesus. I know that that's what I want to do. And so I'm just going to like pursue this that I know is solid.
Yeah.
And I'm figuring out everything else. And so it really was for me like, yes to the church.
Right.
All the time. Like kind of in a crazy way. I remember there were some weeks where I was like literally leading worship like 9 times a week. And it was just like, cause I'm just trying to figure this out. I'm trying to. So letting my actions be my yes.
That's good.
Even before my heart was the yes.
Did that lead to points of So I guess this is perfect. I'm gonna try to segue this. So what you just said.
Oh.
What you just said. I always say, because the big thing for me is burnout. Is always a huge thing, and not for me specific. People always say it.
Yeah.
And I would use that excuse early on, like I'm just exhausted. I'm just
tired.
burnt out. I'm just whatever. And so I kind of started to develop this thing, and ultimately I feel like God was saying like, hey, that's the beginning stages of lukewarm Christianity, is burnout.
Yeah.
And really what that means is you're not feeding yourself. You're exhausted. Well, I'm at the church. When you really boil it down, because people would say it and I would say it, So I'm just gonna speak for myself. Like I'd be at a place where I'm just tired, I'm just burnt out, and I feel like God's like, dude, you're only at the church one day a week. What are you burnt out from? And really, when I would feel those moments of burnout, when I wasn't in the Word, when I wasn't praying, when I wasn't seeking Jesus for myself, and I've been like that, just speaking, where I've been in seasons where I'm just trying to crank out content, and so I'm looking at the Bible. I'm opening the Bible every single day, but it's for a message. For a youth group or for a Sunday and so it was like I had to almost have like 3 different, and then it was like, well, now I'm just literally checking boxes, my relationship with Jesus. And so when you were saying I'm doing 9 days, did you find moments of where you felt exhausted, where you're feeding yourself? Because that was in the between of the 18 to 20 years old, right?
Yeah,
where you were kind of battling with that, friendships and so what did that show up? Did that show up in your life at all, either good or bad? Either way, I'm just curious on what that looked like for you as far as burnout. Did you use that term? Did you not? Did you find yourself drifting into the like mid-level faith, lukewarm?
I got a little, even though I love the church, I love Jesus, I got a little disillusioned with my church specifically that I was at. I remember 20 years old. I did something that I would not do again. I'm kind of embarrassed about it, but I'll tell you about it just for the podcast.
So embarrassed, but here's
well, I'll tell you. But I remember having some conversations with some of my friends. We're all serving at church together and being like, I don't know about this. I don't know about this church. I'm not sure if this is, the spot, or what's happening here isn't good. And I just want to encourage you, like, don't ever do that. Don't ever talk poorly about your church or your leaders. Like, go to your leaders and ask questions, but don't because what you're doing when you do that is you're like stirring up some angst in the people that you're talking to.
That's good.
And you don't know what they're dealing with or what they may be needing from the church at the time. Yeah. And so if you're, pulling them from that, it's really not okay. Yeah. It's really not. You could be messing with somebody's life, like, in a serious way in doing that. So I just wouldn't, from my own experience, actually, I feel like that's kind of what happened. So did I feel burnt out with, the church a little bit? Yes, because it was like, I just kept, trying to, run towards that and not as much towards Christ.
That's good.
And that has to be our first go-to.
That's good.
I love, don't tell your theology bros. Don't tell any theology bros. I'm about to read the Message Bible. But in the Message version of the Bible, Matthew 11:28 through 30 says, "Are you tired, worn out, burned out on religion? Come to me, get away with me, and you'll recover your life. I'll show you how to take a real rest." Yeah. And so I think there is a difference between, like, religion and relationship,
Classic.
Yeah, I know. So I didn't want to say it. I was like, it's
it's good though. It's so good though.
But it's true. Like, there's a difference between my personal relationship with Jesus and then, like, just what I am doing for Jesus. And I think both are important because he calls us to go into all the world, make disciples, right?
That's good.
That's our calling, but you can't do it without him.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I think religion looks at performance strictly. Religion looks at checking a box. Religion looks like, taking up enough good days, matching up enough good days in a row to be able to line up to something, to achieve something. And a relationship with Jesus says, I just want your heart. Yeah. I just want you in the middle of your mess. Don't come cleaned up. I told this story. I feel like people have told different versions of it, but I've heard a lot of people say, "It sounds great, this whole Jesus thing, but I'm going to come back next week. Let me get some stuff in order. Let me clean my life up a little bit." If you're waiting to clean your life up in enough way to come to the altar and say yes to Jesus, you're going to be waiting a long time. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, you're not going to be good enough in your own. Yep. And so I always tell this with, you take a shower. You don't get cleaned up to get in the shower. Like my son, probably a year ago, changed his diaper and to avoid any type of nastiness. Had to clean him up before placing him in the shower. And it seemed dumb to me. But that's a separate thing in what people do in their relationship with Jesus. Like, before I come to Jesus, let me just clean some stuff up. Well, the enemy knows he can get you there. Like, oh, he's not going to come back next week. I know. It just, right there, make that decision and allow God to show up in the mix and change your whole life. Because I promise, he will, for sure.
He will. Okay. I think we're out of time. I think that was great, and we're gonna see you back here next week for another episode. Hey, be sure to slide into our DMs. Tell us what you want to hear on this podcast.
Yeah.
We'd love to hear from you, and have a great week.